It's already Wednesday already. Can you believe it? It's the 25th of the month. UAW is going crazy. Colorado has a pedestrian dilemma, and there are a bunch of EVs that you can now lease under $400.
Everywhere I go, the people really want to know.
That's good news.
Especially when yesterday we're talking about vehicles that have a 22% interest rate. If I don't know, wouldn't it be funny if EVs
doesn't really counterbalance that, but we can get into that. It doesn't counterbalance.
No, it doesn't. It's just a thing. Like
we'll get into
EV.
that.
It just feels weird.
The
whole thing feels weird.
Get into.
I'll tell you what. What are we getting into today at 2 p.m. Today is our next ASOTU Edge webinar. Kyle and I are going to be hanging out with our friends at foureyes, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Struggle is real. How data is destroying the customer experience. We're going to have foureyes expert David Steinberg and Jeff Ramsey of the Oarsman Group with us to talk through how they're doing it, how they're deploying it. Little, like, dare I say, collaboration moment. And great. The coolest thing, if you attend the webinar, you get to use the foureyes platform for free for 60 days. Not just one of those 1 month.
Right, 60 days. Like, nobody does that. Come on.
Well, they do on an ASOTU Edge webinar. So you have to register. Go to ASOTU.com. Scroll up a little bit. You can click the link. Register right there. And Kyle and I will see you in just a few hours from now on the 20 to 30-minute webinar. Again, quick format. Kyle, why are we wearing these scarves today?
Because we are just overwhelmingly excited about the fact that we have already announced the save the date for ASOTU CON 2024. It's going to be May 14th through the 17th.
May?
Tuesday through a Friday. It's not in September. Hear that again. It's not in September. We're moving it to May. We got a bunch of feedback. People were like, put this earlier in the year. We got all the dealer meetings in September. We don't need it then. We're going to move it to May. We are going back to the same amazing venue. I wish I could have like recorded everybody that came up to me and was like,
we have some of it somewhere.
Guys, this food was unbelievable. Also,
that's true. I didn't know.
I got a ton of comments on the rooms, like the actual rooms that people were staying in. They were like, it was dialed in. It felt really good, felt comfortable, all that. So we'll have tickets, all the things, all the rooms ready, available. End of the first week in November. So we're only like 10 days away from that at this point.
That's it. Oh man, it's going to be so great. So, and if you're an industry partner and you want to sponsor, we do have obviously a limited space on the trade show floor. You know, we rework it and it's a real neat thing. And we got a little surprised, but if you want to be part of that, if you're interested, email amj@asotu.com. Make sure that you are on her list. So the second the prospectus is out, you will be one of the first ones to get the copy and get first crack at it. All right.
That's it.
I feel like this energy, this is like, is this called a soccer scarf or is there another word like the pitch is the field and the match is the game? Is there a soccer word for this? Scarf. It's a football scarf, right?
Yeah.
It's soccer. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I didn't know. Sometimes I get
soccer
lost.
In the U.S. Get over it. You know,
I'm over it. I was over it before it was in the U.S. Speaking of not being over it.
UAW update.
So not long after. I mean, we're talking like real soon after GM announced their Q3 earnings. The UAW initiated a strike or expanded the strike. They initiated one at the General Motors high profit SUV plant in Texas. That's the one that's making the money, impacting the production of key models and deepening the financial blow on the Detroit Big Three. So 5,000 workers at GM's Arlington assembly in Texas were ordered on strike by UAW President Shawn Fain. Makes vehicles you may have heard of, like the Tahoe, the Suburban, the Yukon, the Escalade.
Yeah. The big money. Okay. I see the playing ball now. That's what it's all about.
I mean, this is kind of like striking the Super Duty plant for Ford. Now they're like, okay, again, this is one of those things where it's like, okay, it's escalating and ramping up. They're going to run out of places to go pretty soon. UAW President Shawn Fain says, and I quote, another record quarter. He's talking about the GM earnings. Another record quarter, another record year. As we've said for months, record profits equal record contracts. It's time for GM workers and the whole working class to get their fair share, like how he looped in everybody.
Just everybody. It's like the entire working
and
class.
everybody who works. GM responded by expressing disappointment in the UAW's decision, highlighting that they had increased their previous proposal by 25% just last week. So the UAW's expansion also yesterday affected Stellantis' profitable Sterling Hills assembly plant in Michigan, where they make Ram 1500 pickups. So it seems like the gloves are off. They're taking the big swings, Kyle.
They are taking big swings. I'm telling you what, like both of those things are in highly profitable, high volume lines that the consumer public, without a doubt, wants. Family vehicles, right? And this is where I think we're getting into the place, right? We're what, 41 or 42 days? I think
42. Yeah.
And we're getting to that place where early on, a lot of economists, a lot of people that we know in the industry, myself, we were all saying like that 5 to 6 week timeline is the tipping point of when we see that it's probably going to start impacting more deeply in the industry. And when they start pulling punches like this, it's going to really start to impact, because also from what I've heard is those are the model lines in those manufacturers, like from dealers, what I've heard, those are the model lines that already had the tightest inventories.
Yeah.
Even though they have long late day supply for the manufacturers as a whole, those vehicle lines already had tighter inventory supply. And so I would be interested. I wonder if someone will come out with like an inventory supply matrix of those particular vehicles, because watching what happens to that in Q4 might really strike a change in affordability, in availability. So,
availability. We're back to this.
Back to availability, man. It's coming.
Oh my gosh. It's the same time of year too. I mean, they're running out of cards to play though. So I feel like that's a good thing. Again, like to think that they were ever going to come to a resolution without like playing the heavy cards. I don't think that was ever going to happen.
It's like 45,000 of 150,000 workers right now are on strike.
Gotcha. And all the EV plant workers are going in every day. And the company's like, I don't know if we can make any more of these.
Like,
that's speaking of EVs.
Get out!
The show is called The Automotive Troublemaker.
Yeah, that's right.
We should say that at the beginning of every show just to set the context. A proposed bill in Colorado is seeking to introduce a, quote, vulnerable road user protection registration fee. What does that spell? Rubriff. It's a rubriff for heavy vehicles with the intent to funnel the revenue into pedestrian and bike safety projects. This is very Colorado, by the way. The fee aims to generate around $20 million annually, which, if you know infrastructure projects, isn't a ton of money. However, even a 9,000 pound vehicle like a Hummer EV would be subject to the additional fee. So basically, they're saying that the heavier vehicles cause more pedestrian accidents or more damage when there is a pedestrian accident. Makes sense. So obviously a lot of EVs now qualify for this. And it goes by weight. Like there's a certain weight qualification. So the extra fee isn't a lot. It's $29.90 every year is going to be charged in Colorado's most populated 12 counties where most of the accidents occur. State Senator Lisa Cutter said, quote, data shows us higher vehicle weights correlate to vulnerable road deaths. It just makes sense to tie funding to that. It's not about disincentivizing the purchase of EVs. It's about or heavy vehicles. It's recognizing these are cars that are disproportionately involved in these fatalities. Also, side note, in 2024, Washington, D.C. is actually raising registration fees based on weight. This is like another story, from $155 to $500 for any vehicle over 6,000 pounds, which a lot of EVs are. And then from $155 to $250 to vehicles over 5,000 pounds, and $115 to $175 for vehicles over 3,500 pounds. So it seems like they're raising the price on everything, but disproportionately EVs are going to be affected.
They absolutely are, because most of your EVs are approaching that 6,000 pounds.
How much is a Model 3 weigh? Hold on, I'm going to search this live.
Do the search live, Paul. So here's the thing. There's a couple things at play here, because this talks a lot about pedestrian and bike accidents and the way that it impacts damages. And obviously, like, we want to take care and make sure that people have these good pathways. So I appreciate like the funnel back. And I wonder how, I don't know how DC is handling this, but we've talked a little bit about, like a year ago, there was a lot of stuff coming out about vehicle weight and its impact on the actual roads, right?
Yeah,
so they're going to have
sure.
to figure out how to funnel more tax dollars back into not just protecting pedestrians, not just protecting bikers, but also just protecting the longevity of the roads that these heavier vehicles are continuing to drive over. So, innovative approach. It's not that crazy of a dollar amount to go after. It stinks if your vehicle registration fees every year are going up from 89 to 129 or something like that. And we'll see how far they push this as more things come up as vehicle weights raise. So it sets like an interesting precedent, but also probably somewhat necessary.
Well, little old bitty Tesla Model 3, tiny little car, 3,800 to 4,200 pounds. So even that little car weighs
a
over
car
2
right there.
tons. And the nice thing is for people that live where I do in upstate New York is the vehicle weight doesn't matter because the roads are destroyed far before any vehicle
always, all the time.
Anyway, from the snow and
they're
all.
like, we just have an annual repaving budget.
So true. We put it right on the back of the plow. The plow clears the road, and in the summertime, it tears up the asphalt. It's bang
together.
Speaking of,
good news in EVs.
Yeah,
Let's go with that.
Segue time.
So a range of automakers are now offering electric vehicle leases for under $400 a month, making EVs more accessible to the average consumer and ramping up competition in the market. Here's a few of the automakers that are doing this. You've got Nissan, Hyundai, and Kia offering the Leaf, the Ioniq 6, and the Kia Niro EV for under $400 a month. A lot of people out there and journalists are pointing to this as a direct response to Tesla's pricing pressure and the increased supply of electric vehicles in the market. So, going after Tesla, who continually is dropping prices, as well as the affordability issues in the market.
Nobody wants one.
And no one wants one. Did we mention this is called the troublemaker?
Hold on.
It's
our PR department.
It's coming in. Yep. Okay. Toe the line. Got it. Understand.
I'll tender my resignation. No, we're going to save that one for a real time. When
some buyers are also utilizing what they're calling a one-day lease. This lease tax loophole, which allows vehicles they get the access to the benefits, irrespective of the $7,500 IRA tax credit income eligibility. They lease it for 1 day and then buy out the lease.
That's going to get shut down. That's going to get shut down. Well, because there's an income requirement, maximum income requirement to get the credit. So like, no. They're not buying it. They're leasing it.
Yep.
For a day, right?
For a day.
Be back and buy it tomorrow. That's going to get shut down real quick.
It's got to get shut down.
But I mean, it'll take 90 days at least.
Everybody's trying to figure out how to get all the money out of the tax incentives, get the least amount of payment or pricing that they possibly can, because affordability is at an all-time high. And look, if I've known one thing about Americans, they're resourceful. You know what I mean?
That's true.
They're resourceful.
The entrepreneurial spirit is alive and well. Well, I mean, look, I like the idea of there being some affordable vehicles in the market. Sub $400 payments are few and far between. And the fact they happen to be EVs, there are just so many people where an EV lifestyle will actually work in a decent way. Well, and low mileage commuters, people who park in a garage every night, like makes so much sense for so many.
And leases make the most sense with EVs because of the rapidly changing technology. So to be able to offer an affordable lease on an EV, that's your fastest way to adoption. So kudos to the manufacturers.
Questions about battery health, all that stuff. Well, we hope you are having an amazing day and continue to have an amazing Wednesday. Make sure you come back. Join us at 2 p.m. for the webinar. Go to ASOTU.com, scroll down a little bit, click on the Four Eyes webinar. We will see you there.